Apple lovers, welcome back to Apple Worldwide. I am just relaxing here before I get ready for bed. I'm relaxing on my bed anyway, but I'm not ready for bed yet. And I thought I'd share this with you guys. Do you know that there is so much we can prevent in our lives? There is so much hassle we can avoid, but because we ignore red flags, we ignore signs. Either we ignoring, we are naive, we are ignorant, or we just we just made ourselves narrow-minded and tunnel visioned, that we only looking at a point, we only looking at the price we want versus paying attention to the whole package. You understand? There is so much we can avoid in this life. So I want to tell you that to start avoiding, we have to start now. And that now start with having a conversation. Have you gone to do your hair? Have you gone to do your nail? Have you done your makeup? Have you had a new outfit on? And your partner, a man, a woman, goes this way. Ew. Oh, I prefer this way. If you can change it this way. Like, how is that conversation? Is the conversation presented in a way to bring you down, bring your spirit down, and make you feel like the dress you have on is not good enough, the makeup you went to do wasn't good enough, the hairstyle you got wasn't good enough? Have you started having that conversation and being like, hey honey, I am not okay with the way you presented this. I am fine with what I have on. I'm not exposed. I'm dressed appropriately. It's just the style that you don't like because it's either too big or too not accord up to your taste. Have you started having these conversations? Because at times it's not about us, it's about people. If I have my hair done and you don't like it, is it really about you? Yes, sometimes we burn ourselves. There is a saying that when a fowl or a hen, a female chicken or whatever, is about to enter a building, it always lowers the bottom of its buttocks down. It's not because the door is too short and it cannot go through, but it's because it's just decent, it's just appropriate, it's just the nicest thing to do, to just bend a little bit and say, honey, it's okay, I'm going to change to make you happy. But is life about making people happy? Ask yourself that question. Is life, do you find fulfillment in making people happy in this life? Or you find fulfillment in being you, being yourself, being kind to others, and being okay with whoever you are, no matter what? Are you enough for you? Are you comfortable for you? Or you must be enough for him, you must be enough for her? Is that what it is? So I want to tell you again that the time is now to start having those conversations. If you have a daughter, you have a son, start having the conversation about abuse. What is okay and what is not? Is it okay for a man to threaten you they're gonna slap you? Is it okay for a man or a woman to get up and be like, if you don't stop it, I'm going to do this. Is it okay for a man or for a woman to abuse you and go out and come and give you your jewelry? When that start happening, start having a conversation. Don't be quiet. Start talking. When is it okay to talk about your likes and dislikes in a relationship? Is it okay for somebody to harm you and bribe you not to say anything about it? Threaten you, if you report, well, this is going to happen. When do you start having these conversations with your children? This is the time. I want to tell you, this is the time. Are you waiting to have that ring before you start talking about how many children you're going to have? Are you waiting till you get pregnant to find out which hospital you're going to have a child at? Are you waiting to get pregnant to find out which kind of living environment you want to have for your child? Do you want to live in a house? Do you want to live in an apartment? When do you start having those conversations? Are you waiting for that day before you start asking yourself, when to use phone? Is it okay for him to use? Are you waiting to have that ring before you start talking about finances? How well do you know each other? Are you waiting to be married before you talk about joint accounts, individual accounts? When are you going to start having this conversation? Are you waiting to get married before you talk about how many children you're going to have? When do you start having that conversation? Are you waiting? How often do you talk? When does he like to talk? When do you like to be told, to be called? Must you be contacting each other on schedule? Have you talked about these things? He wants to be contacted on schedule. You don't. You want to be contacted on schedule. He does not. Have you started talking about that? Is this something you can deal with? How is your value system, your belief system? If you have children, he's Muslim, you're Christian. What is the arrangement? Have you talked about it? How are you going to raise the child? As a Christian versus as a Muslim? Are you willing to visit his mosque with him sometime? Are you willing to have your child go to the mosque with him? And vice versa. When do you start having these conversations? Compatibility is what I'm arriving at. Compatibility is vital. But when do you start having these conversations? It's critical. When do you start having this conversation is key to being okay. He don't want nobody touching his phone. You don't want nobody touching your phone. Is it something you can handle? Is it something you cannot handle? He likes to hang out every single day of the week with his co-workers after work to have a drink. Are you comfortable with that? When Do you start having that conversation as to whether you are okay with it or you're not? When do you say enough is enough? I just want to give you something to think about. How about that? Is his dressing okay with you? He has a little pot belly. But as long as he gives me that money, I'm okay. But I don't really like pot-bellied guys. Okay? When do you start talking about those covered topics? Is it somebody that is willing to work on his pot belly? Does he understand that when women have children, their body changes? They may have stretch marks. They may gain weight. Breast milk will be flowing and it will smell on them. At some point, guess what? She may need to stay home and not be able to work like she used to work, because guess what? Somebody needs to stay with a baby. Have you talked about daycare? Have you talked about the choice of childcare he will want to have versus you will want to have? Have you started having these conversations? Have you or have you not? Today is the time to start thinking about it. Now is the time to start talking about it. No more time wasting. No more. This is the minute. Time and tide wait for no man. Time and tide waits for no man. Have you started teaching your girls what is okay versus what is not? When you are playing, then he hold your mouth tight. Oh, I was just playing with you. You are playing and he holds your neck tight. Is that okay? Is that not? Those gestures when you are playing are gestures that speaks volumes of meaning. Yes. When you are talking, what does he do? What do you do? Him or her? Does he want you to talk to him on a video call? Does he not? Is he comfortable with you doing that? Or there must be a scheduled time to do that? When you are talking, how does he behave? Does he pay attention? Does he get distracted? Does he always put you on hold in the middle of the conversation? And vice versa. How important is your presence, your time? How important is your time to him or her? The time you left everything doing. One thing I want to let you know is, if he's into you, he will create all the time in the world for you. If she is into you, she will create all the time in the world for you. When he starts making excuses, you start wising up. When she starts, think about it. Has he been in a relationship with any of your friends in the past? Have you been in a relationship with any of his friends in the past. It's not when you get married before you disclose that. When do you disclose that? When do you talk about that? When do you find out if he's comfortable or she's comfortable with the fact that you have dated his friends before, or you have dated her friends before? When do you start having these conversations? Is she or he somebody that is comfortable with you associating with your friends? How much is she or he comfortable with you doing that? How frequent? Duration? These conversations, when do you have them? When you're talking to them, then they send you a picture of their private part. At what point is that okay? At what point is that not okay? Are you comfortable with that? Are you not? When do you start talking about it? If he's doing it, he just met you and he just starts sending you that, and you are smiley, it means it's okay with you. Don't forget that it's a habit. That's why it was so easy for him to do it right away when he met with you. Right away when he probably has not seen you with his eyes before, but he has started demanding that and sending you stuff like that. When do you find it comfortable, convenient? Not convenient, like morally appropriate. Are you at that in alignment with your principles? When do you start having the conversation? When do you start having the conversation of compatibility? Have you considered taking a compatibility test about it? This is just something that came up in my mind. I want to share with you. I believe that we can save ourselves so much by knowing these things and when to start these conversations. I believe that if fathers start teaching their children about these things, having these conversations, when they get to that stage, they have to choose a partner, they have to start dating, going out, they are going to make the right decision. They are going to start having conversations that are very important. Very, very, very young. If I say young, not age young, but at the very initial stages of getting acquaintances, getting associations, getting comfortable with somebody, before even they say, I want you to be my girlfriend. I want to say okay for his request to be his girlfriend or my boyfriend. And this can go a long way, because when they start having these conversations, they are going to identify that, oh, my beliefs and his beliefs are the same. We agree on a lot of things. I like to go to the gym. He liked that too. We can hang out together. I like swimming. Oh yes, he loves swimming too. So guess what? We can do this together. Oh, I want the best. I want my kids to go to the best schools in town. Is he thinking about like how these conversations, when do you have them? When do you start having these conversations? I urge you to start having these conversations now. Now, with your children, with someone you're having a crush on, someone you feel like they have crush on you. Start having these conversations now. because this are a lot of reasons why we end up in abusive marriages. We end up in trauma. We end up in domestic violence situations. We end up in crisis. This can be prevented to an extent, if not 100%, to an extent. So I will leave you here, and I will encourage you to subscribe, to like, to share, and don't forget, my name is Mamle Yoko Godwins, and it's always Epa Worldwide. Like and comment. I wish you all the best for agreeing with me that you are gonna start these conversations now, not later, now. Thank you all, and have a wonderful evening. Good night.